Hello everybody, Tyrone the God 3 here, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball discussion. So, today's topic is this. Is Dragon Ball Super ruining Dragon Ball Z? Now, at face value, this could be a really interesting question and an interesting topic to go over. Why specifically am I asking this question? Why is this discussion video covering this topic? Well, the reason I say this is because many a time in anime, and not just in anime, in a series of movies, stories, books, light novels, any source of fiction that you could possibly get your hands on, there's a continuity of things that happen within a series of each other, where one thing happens after another, or another thing happens before another thing, like in the Star Wars movies with prequels and sequels, like with light novels, or just straight up books like Harry Potter, where something of the past or something of the future can actually ruin the continuity of something that's happened already. Now, this isn't me trying to say that plot holes will appear. However, there is a thing where something that has been already fully established in the past has been innately diluted because of something that was learned in the future. For example, if I were to say that, hey, I did a really cool stunt that no one else could do, and then later on in the future we find out the only reason I was able to do that stunt is because someone else was pulling invisible strings on my arms allowing me to do said feat, that obviously ruins the continuity of something that I was doing in the past, making it a lot less memorable and a lot less tasteful, because now we know that that thing's continuity has been obscured. Something has been done to it. We know of its future, and we know exactly why it is what it is, rather than allowing it to stay as innately cool as it is. What does this have to do with Dragon Ball exactly? Well, the reason I say this is because Dragon Ball Z is one of my favorite animes, and this isn't just me being cliche. I have had several favorite animes in my life, with Death Note, Zatch Bell, Dragon Ball Z, and not just shonen animes, but also other anime like Another, Konosuba, Sword Art Online to some odd degree. I've had favorite animes that have existed throughout time, where when I learn something in the future, it sort of dilutes something that I already know in the past. Now, obviously, this could be because of the wide gap in between writing. Akira Toriyama obviously wrote Dragon Ball Super after writing Dragon Ball Z, several years after, in fact, to where when things were being made, obviously he forgot some continuities, or things had got a bit obscured, or even he's tried to pull them all together with strings, but has unintentionally ruined their innate coolness or just the powerful impact that that thing had. Now, we should get on to the topic of the matter, and I'll start off with the very beginning of Dragon Ball Super, from the closest thing I can remember all the way up to what they're doing now. When you look at Dragon Ball Z, more specifically the Android Saga, where I feel Dragon Ball Z was at its prime, you could see that there was some very prominent things within that saga that made that saga stand out specifically and make it so that it is taken to a very serious yet very powerful degree with a powerful plot. One of these things that comes to mind is, for example, the destruction of planet Vegeta. And this is where we start our Dragon Ball Super is messing with the continuity of Dragon Ball Z and sort of hindering it based on what we know now as opposed to what we know back then. When the series started, we learned that Frieza had completely destroyed planet Vegeta. On his attack on Bardock, he completely wiped out all of planet Vegeta using his supernova or death ball attack to completely eradicate planet Vegeta. Now, when we look at this, we know that the reason that Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta is because Bardock's shown to be exceptionally strong amongst the Saiyans, and because of this, he was starting to be something that Frieza was about to worry about, more or less. The Saiyans were getting gradually stronger, which means that a Super Saiyan could have been a reality more or less than a fictional thing within the realm of that series. It was becoming less myth and more reality. And Frieza didn't want to give the Saiyans any chance of surpassing him in any type of way possible. So in order to completely wipe out the chance of that happening, Frieza wiped out an entire race just so that none of the Saiyans can potentially have the ability to surpass him in strength and overthrow his rule as being the tyrant of the galaxy. This is really great within storytelling because Frieza missed one Saiyan. Well, he missed a bunch of others if you want to count movies and stuff. But there's one Saiyan that Frieza missed, and it was Goku. And that, ironically, ended up becoming the Saiyan that became the Super Saiyan of Legend and ultimately defeating him within the course of the series. Frieza had used these Saiyans and made them do his bidding for years and allowed them to live as a form of payment, only to completely wipe them out just because he felt they could be a potential threat. That is a very evil stance on Frieza's part. Now, what does this have to do with Dragon Ball Super? How did Dragon Ball Super ruin this? Well, later on in the Resurrection F saga of Dragon Ball Super, and even somewhat in the Battle of God saga of Dragon Ball Super, we learned that Beerus commanded Frieza to destroy planet Vegeta. What this does, at the surface, this may seem harmless, but when you look into this deeper, what this has done is that it has completely diluted Frieza's character. Frieza is shown to be a relentless, heartless, cold monster who literally was in charge of slavery. He was the slave master of the Saiyans, and rather than let them free, he kills them all on the off chance that they may end up stronger than him. Just getting rid of an entire race because they were a potential threat. Now, I don't know about you, but that makes for a very evil, heartless character. That makes for somebody who you would want to see get killed. That makes for somebody who is a really good villain. This is how you tell a really good story. But all of that completely gets shat away when you make the villain decide to do an action because he was told, because a higher authority told him. This does not make him very powerful. This does not make him evil. This does not make him, in any sense of the word, an intimidating threat, and thus lowers his entire fear factor down by several levels. The character, the villain, the development that we got from such an evil tyrant has completely been washed away now, all because now Frieza's not doing this because he's heartless and evil. He is now doing this because he is a lackey boy of Lord Beerus, and that is upsetting. Moving on, even forward, we see that Dragon Ball Super has continued to do things like this on several occasions. For example, Trunks. Future Trunks was a character that was introduced in Dragon Ball Z, and to be honest, I think is one of the best newly added characters to an anime just in general, in anime history. His introduction was great, and his epilogue was great. Trunks is the only character I see to this day who had an actual prologue and epilogue to his entire story arc that came from start to finish. If you watch Dragon Ball Z canonically and watch it with the history of Trunks in mind first, then you will know that Trunks started off as a very young, angsty teenager who was willing to give everything to help Gohan fight the androids and stop the apocalyptic future that was his timeline. He would go through large risk, insulting androids that were vastly stronger than himself and getting himself in harm's way and almost getting Gohan in harm's way several times until he finally learned to mature a bit and learn the pain of loss when Gohan died and the history of Trunks, thus allowing him to turn Super Saiyan. He still was immaturely going to fight off against the androids, believing that his newly found Super Saiyan powers would be more than enough to take on the androids. Only he was completely upset to know that even though he's a Super Saiyan, he still lacks the fighting experience and ability in order to fight off the androids, and was ultimately defeated because of this. However, Trunks was still able to live, and he was viewed as a symbol of hope, not just for future Bulma, but for all of his timeline, as a chance to rebuild and regrow as he went back in time in order to meet up with RZ warriors of the present timeline, meeting up with Goku, Gohan, and several others. He learned with them, he gained experience with his father from training, he got stronger, he developed himself with all of those characters and learned so much about the battlefield that he was able to go back into the present timeline, fight off against the androids with his newly found powers and experience, and defeat Cell, thus bringing his character arc to a complete close. There is no Dragon Balls because Piccolo and Kami are dead, which means there is no chance to bring any of the Z Warriors back, but with Trunks being the lowly survivor and the strongest warrior, the chances of his entire future can be rebuilt, set, and the world ends at peace with Trunks. Until Dragon Ball Super comes in and completely ruins that entire continuity. What they do is that they shamelessly bring Trunks back, with wrong hair color by the way, have him fight just for the sake of fighting, give him a new transformation because why the hell not, have him gain more power because of the spirit of mortals or whatever, and then they have him gain a Deus Ex Machina spirit bomb sword type wannabe, and then have him fight even more, kill off more of the people that are in his future timeline just because of why not, and to put the icing on the shit cake, they completely have him destroy the entire timeline using Zeno in order to wipe out that entire timeline, meaning everything that happened from the history of Trunks onward is completely pointless because that whole timeline, including future Bulma, has been wiped out. This immediately takes everything away from what was happening in Dragon Ball Z because the story that they were trying so hard to weave together has completely been obliterated because the universe that all takes place in has wiped out. When we ended the story with future Trunks being the lowly survivor of his future timeline, we got the thing that was trying to be the motif of the story. It was put on the time machine and it was called Hope. Bulma put on that time machine Hope because Trunks was supposed to be hope. Trunks represents hope. He was the hope of that timeline, and it is completely wiped out. There is no more hope. There is nothing to rebuild because immediately after it got rebuilt, or sort of close to getting rebuilt, it all got immediately wiped away within an instant. This disrupts the story that was already placed within Dragon Ball Z. This messes up the continuity. And don't even get me started on things like the Potara earrings that were thought to be a permanent fusion, and yes, I am aware that being in Majin Buu's body isn't a canonical reason for why the fusion defused. It was just a suggested reason for why the fusion defused, and it was more or less a dub error. I do understand that. However, once it was stated that the Potara earring was a permanent fusion, we stuck with that continuity for a while. I see no reason why Elder Kai would lie about something like that, and I see no reason why Elder Kai would not know that you need two members of a Shin family in order to fuse with the Potara earrings to make it a permanent fusion. I don't see why he wouldn't know that. He knew about the Metamarese fusion. He knew about transforming Super Saiyan and how it's flawed compared to unlocking your potential. He knew all of these things. I refuse to believe that he would take something of that important of knowledge and completely wipe it out of continuity of his brain. It feels like it was something that just came up because it was convenient for Goku and Vegeta to defuse and they needed a new solution. The reason I bring all of these things up is because Dragon Ball Super has done a thing where it's messed with what has already been established within Dragon Ball Z. It messes with something that's already been stated. It's messed with a story that has already been told. Now, obviously, some people can go, well, Tyrone, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. You can just watch Dragon Ball Z. Unfortunately, Dragon Ball Super is still within the timeline of things. They are mentioning things that happen after Majin Buu, which relates to Dragon Ball Z's story. It is a continuation. There is no large time skips or anything like that. It is literally right off of it. There's no huge time skips. There's no huge leaps beyond time. This is literally happening almost right after. Some months after Majin Buu, and Dragon Ball Z's ending happens before Dragon Ball Super was invented. However, the ending takes place within the same continuity. It goes Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and then the ending to Dragon Ball Z. They all happen within the exact same field. So, when you have these things in there, you have them within the exact same continuity. They have the ability to ruin the continuity of Dragon Ball Z, and the stunt that they pulled in episode 92 is one of the things that messes with the continuity by stating that transformations can happen with just a tingle of your back. Now, a lot of people are going to bring up the fact of Goten and Trunks. And I will repeat this several times. Goten and Trunks transformed into Super Saiyan off screen. We don't know how they transformed Super Saiyan, and they are not the focus here. The reason that Caulifla is the focus is because Caulifla literally learned how to transform Super Saiyan right before our eyes. So this scene can be compared to that of Gohan transforming Super Saiyan because both characters were taught how to transform Super Saiyan by a character that already knew how to transform Super Saiyan prior. Kaba taught Caulifla, Goku taught Gohan. They both went through completely different methods of training, and Gohan already was trying to transform Super Saiyan, to which Goku states that you cannot turn Super Saiyan by raising your power alone. The response needs to come to a need, not a desire. Now, some people have come to put in the comment section of my reviews, oh, well, Tyrone, they're from Universe 6. They've evolved. They've gone different. Well, you would be right, except for one small thing. Kaba transformed Super Saiyan using the exact same method that Universe 7 Saiyans used to transform Super Saiyan. The will to protect planet Sadal was the exact same thing that turn him Super Saiyan, which is something that Vegeta and Goku and Trunks and Gohan have all used as a need, not a desire. Kaba needed to protect planet Sadal from Vegeta's threat, and thus allowed him to turn Super Saiyan. Albeit it was a bit rushed, it wasn't as focused on. I didn't feel as emotionally driven from that scene as I would from Vegeta's frustration of not being able to turn Super Saiyan, or Trunks' pain of loss when he lost Gohan. However, I will state that Kaba did use the pain of loss in order to transform Super Saiyan. So, when you say that, it completely contradicts it when Kaba has the ability to do that. I can see that they had no way to have Caulifla suffer a pain of loss within a short time span before the tournament began, and thus they moved to desperation and used the news that completely retcons how to transform Super Saiyan. And that's why I made such a big fuss about it in the review. And this is what I have to say, and that's what brings us up to this point. And even later within episode 93, with Frieza joining Goku on his team, that dilutes Frieza's character even further. Frieza has already been established in Dragon Ball Z to be a heartless villain, someone who does not give a crap about competition. He doesn't want to be a part of it. Frieza kills. That is his thing. If you don't believe me, during Frieza's appearance within the series, he kills Namekian children. I don't think I need to say anything else after that. He kills children without a second thought. He wiped out the entire Namekian race. He wiped out the entire Saiyan race and blew up planet Namek, blew up planet Vegeta. Frieza destroyed two entire races within the course of a series. In Naruto, before the series even began, Itachi wiped out a clan. Okay, that's one kind of big family. Frieza killed two whole goddamn races. And if you want to count his arrival on planet Earth in the Revival F, in the Resurrection F saga and movie, when he blew up Earth, technically he killed 3 races. He doesn't give a shit about Goku. He hates Goku. He hates Vegeta. He hates Piccolo. Why in the hell would this character even consider teaming up with them? This completely contradicts his character. This completely throws his character down a peg. This completely ruins the development that was worked so hard on Frieza that was made perfectly clear in Dragon Ball Z. This contradicts it so hard to the point where it absolutely disgusts me. It's completely disrespectful towards his character. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I mean by Dragon Ball Super having the ability to destroy something that has already been set in stone. You can ruin something in the past by making by making the choices in the future. A future choice can affect the past. And that is the core of this discussion. The core of this topic that I'm talking about right now. The core of why I'm upset. And it's not entirely Super's fault. I want to say it's fans that have pushed Super to go even to do all of this. I haven't even mentioned Gohan, where Gohan was already established to be a character who fights to protect. He does not fight for the love of the sport, and that was not touched upon in Dragon Ball Super at all. There were no flashbacks of Videl. There were no flashbacks of Pan. There were no flashes of Pan and Videl sitting in a rocking chair and then Gohan powering up in response to that. Gohan is completely fighting because why? Because they want him to be a fighter. He's forced into being a fighter now, which takes everything we learned of Gohan from the past and completely eradicates it. Gohan fought to protect. Gohan fought because he was forced to fight to protect. Gohan fought because there was no other options. This was already touched upon in Dragon Ball Z. Piccolo specifically yells at Goku and states that Gohan is not a fighter. It was the chance for Goku to develop and learn a little bit more about his son. It was a moment of realization, a powerful one at that. To the point where Goku was even about to go back into the fight and fight Cell. He asked Krillin to give him a senzu bean. That was a moment of realization. But then the tables turned when Goku died, and Goku realized that Gohan was the only option. He was the only hope, and he knew that Gohan had the power to protect Earth. Not to fight just for the fun of it. And it was at this moment that we learned that Gohan fights to protect. But Super apparently wants to ruin that and make him a fighter. There was no point where Gohan states he wants to do this for Videl. There was no point where he states he wants to do this for Pan. He's doing this specifically because he just wants to become stronger, and that completely eradicates the character that was already established in Dragon Ball Z. You can see this character come out even more when Gohan wanted to fight off against Spopovich because of everything that Spopovich was doing to Videl. Gohan fights to protect. That's the human side of him. He is half Saiyan. He doesn't thirst for battle. He thirsts to protect the people that he loves. Frieza does not lust for competition. Frieza only wants to destroy whatever gets in his way or disrespects his role as a galactic tyrant. That's why he wiped out an entire race. That's why he wiped out an entire planet, because they were a potential threat towards his rank. That's why he wants to kill Goku, because him being a Super Saiyan was a threat towards his race. But Super has decided to ruin that. And as of now, that's all I've got to say. Obviously, like I said, this was going to be a Dragon Rant week, guys. This was going to be a week where I rant about everything that was Dragon Ball related. And I do apologize. This video is going to be 25 minutes long. But that is what I have to say. And if possible, I could try to cut it into two. But as of now, that is what has been established. That is what Dragon Ball Super is doing currently. And I'm not done. I got to review episode 93 tomorrow. So the rants will continue. And the only reason I'm making such a fuss about this is because I love this series. I love the Dragon Ball series. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't be as harsh on other anime series about this because I didn't devote my life to them. I watch Naruto. I watch I watched Future Diaries. I watched other series, but I didn't devote myself to them as much as I devote myself to Dragon Ball. I watch Dragon Ball Z on a regular to the point where I can randomly watch an episode just because. And the reason I'm so upset is because I'm like a parent. I know Dragon Ball can do better. I've seen it do better. It's just like when Goku was upset with Gohan when fighting Cell. He's like, yo, what are you doing? I've seen you do better than this. You have the potential to do better than this, and Super is not living up to that. It is regurgitating. It is rushing. It is not putting in the effort, but it's trying to grab all the fans. You can't gain all of the fans using half the effort. And that's what Super's doing right now. You can't toss in a female Super Saiyan and then think, oh, that'll get all the fans. That's why I'm upset. Because I know Super can do better. I know Dragon Ball can do better. And with that said, that's all I have to say for now, at least until we get to episode 93's review. I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out. And please, in the comments, put what your thoughts are. Put why you're concerned. Or put if you're not concerned. Or maybe you're positive about this. We need some positivity in the comment section. Because clearly I'm upset. But maybe you could find some silver lining. Maybe you can find some light in the darkness here. Because this isn't over. I have other discussion videos I want to talk about. We still have to talk about animation. We still have to talk about, like I said, character development for certain characters and how it's went down or went up for certain characters. But yeah, Super has done a lot of things. To the point where it's riding on the level of GT. But with that said, I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out. You all have a great day.